being near Martin when he's in the process of working on his music. I just learn a lot from him because he's so smart and he's so passionate about music. I really like sitting next to him at the piano, him playing, which is also just so cool.
These are the scoring pages that crack me
And
up.
then him telling me what he's discovering by looking at the score.
Yeah, it's just Jesus gets organ, obviously. Pilate gets organ. If it's not based on who you represent at the moment, you can look at it certain ways, but you can also read it as just like reliving trauma, and that's why the evangelist is like so just matter of factly. He just keeps like in this little like box, tightly wound.
Because that's his expertise.
And then this rando, just like holding notes all of a sudden just to add a little interest.
My expertise, I hope,
so
is
good.
Bringing that to life, giving it fruition.
This gives me goosebumps.
Wow.
In my 20s, I sang in a number of vocal ensembles, and one of the most powerful experiences I had was singing Pärt's PASSIO. This was in my hometown of Bratislava, Slovakia. And so I've been thinking for years about this and talking to Joel and said, I would really love to do this, but really approach it as a theatrical production to heighten the drama of the text.
So that's why we chose the PASSIO. We started thinking about the PASSIO, almost a year ago. And then absolutely chose to do it in July of last summer. We were still pretty high off of Ellis Island, being such a successful show, and people walking out of the theater saying, oh, can't believe that's what they did. And that's what we wanted people to start saying, oh, the symphony is doing things like that? Oh, let's go to the symphony. That's what we need. Those are the little hooks.
It's like it's bleeding over the edge. Can't figure out why.
With Joel, she said, well, how about we bring a stage director?
If we can find a small, and I do mean small, bench for Jesus's platform.
Not just a lighting designer, but also stage director. And then we added a costumer.
Perhaps I don't want his to be on the floor.
Yeah.
And so the whole thing grew, and it's something that is really stretching what the RVS is able to do. So that makes me, again, immensely proud that we're showing the scope of our artistic ambition. The way this work is structured, it uses quite unusual forces. First off, we have a chorus.
Well, the chorus, this is a group of singers that are probably the best singers in the Rogue Valley, and we hand chose them all.
Joel and I handpicked people from around the community.
And we only could have 16. That's all the room we had, and that's how much sound Martin wanted. There were probably 35 that wanted to do it, but we could only pick 16.
And the cherry on the top is that Joel is also in the chorus.
So I wasn't going to sing. And then Martin said, no, I need your vocal quality in there because that's the kind of sound I want. The first time we sang the first chord, I think we all felt, oh, we're kind of good. We're definitely kind of good.
We wanted voices that were powerful but were not overpowering in an operatic way. They were more able to blend together. Of course, they had to be excellent musicians.
Can we just have that one?
We wanted a real round sound for all the singers. Nothing strident, nothing too far forward. It needs to be like this. All the vowels need to live right here. Don't let them go.
It's going to be a completely unique experience. For a fact, nothing like this has been seen or heard in Rogue Valley before, so it should at the very least here. But I think it's a quite a unique project, just in general.
I was waiting for that moment in the middle of the night when you wake up and you can't go to sleep and you're thinking, who's the right person to ask to stage this?
Electric on the move.
Get a picture of him carrying these really heavy columns.
We kept having conversations with Martin, and Martin kept telling me what he was thinking, what he wanted it to feel like, that he wanted there to be a reverence to what we did, and that the staging could not in any way interfere with the music. Especially, it couldn't make anybody performing the music be like, oh my God, you know, I'm lost, I don't know what to do. And that's when I thought of Richard Jessup.
What I want to do first is put you in your configuration.
Because Richard is a
In
choreographer.
which you will live. That never changes because we want you guys to be able to be near the singers that you need to be near, right? I'm not setting blocking with this, but let me give you configuration really quickly.
He was my first choice.
A little bit of music, of course. Annie Lennox is called for.
The chorus, they are singers, and they're excellent singers. You know, a few of them have done musical theater, and they're used to this kind of movement, but most people aren't. And it is, you know, it's a big thing to take on.
That head around.
And I always see the first day of rehearsal when people know that I'm going to be setting movement on them, you can see the terror in their eyes. Absolutely, every time. And this was no exception. You know, people looking at you like, what are you going to ask me to do?
Breathe up. One more time as you exhale, roll down the spine.
What I decided to do was give them stylized movements that would let the audience know that they're seeing a number of different characters show up in the story.
Next, what I have is going into rehearsal 42. You are singing as the woman gatekeeper. Mm-hmm. All right.
Most of the movement is stylized.
Step.
You know, because the chorus is singing, representing a number of characters. Sometimes they're singing as a single person, sometimes they're singing as a group, and so it's tricky.
Then Martin was shaping us a lot. No, I don't want that. It needs to be like this. No, your cutoffs need to be like this. And everyone was like, okay. We were all doing it.
Said, 1, 2, 3. Give me just you there.
It's a really fine group.
We are doing this production at the recital hall of the Southern Oregon University. The reason is mainly because this hall has this instrument, has the organ. We really needed the organ. You gotta do it with a real instrument.
It's definitely a feature of the place, but it doesn't get used as much as maybe it ought to. You know, obviously it's built into the place. It's pretty unique in that sense. It's the only one in the valley too, like a real pipe organ that I'm aware of. Maybe a church has one or something. It's pretty cool, and it's definitely a sound, you know, like you'll find out when it actually gets played.
Just setting up and getting ready to go. Platforms, the truck needed to be brought in, crew needed to be hired, working with the lights, and in a few minutes the sound. So it's going to be a busy, busy day.
Yeah, there's a lot of heights and a lot of different sizes and shapes, and I think we're close. Today will be about balance.
Yeah, it is an old building too, and so there's limitations in terms of what we can do with like the electrical stuff. As far as lighting goes, we're a little limited on what it can handle, just infrastructure-wise. You know, given that we sold this out like a month before we were basically sold out, it'd be nice to have more seats, yeah, but as far as, you know, practically for the production element of this whole thing, this is the perfect space for this. We're about done. Tossing the lights still. It's somewhere between an opera and an oratorio and just straight up concert performance of something. So it's not really like anything else we've ever done.
You got it.
Quid Mercedes. All right. They're in the midst of things. We won't interrupt them. But yeah, it's not really an opera per se. It's not really an oratorio either. We're somewhere in between a number of different types of productions. And so we're adding a lot of theatrical elements to what's more or less a concert production. Peer in on them.
Quartet of the soloists, and that's kind of a very unusual, and to me, it's a strike of genius. They perform the evangelist, the narrator of the story, which traditionally in works of Johann Sebastian Bach or any other composer, it's one person. Here, it's a quartet. And they kind of come on, they drop off, they come back in, the color changes, the voices cross over each other, creating incredibly interesting colors.
And then the quartet, really are narrators. So their movement is quite different. It's much more, I hope, organic and more natural. What I'm trying to get from the piece Just Everywhere is all of the humanity that I can.
1, 2.
So with the quartet, again, the movement style is different. Well, it's all connected to the instrumental moments that are played during the piece. With the chorus, it's mostly on a place where they're singing. For the quartet, it's in between those moments. And so I think it just has a different quality, it has a softer quality to it.
There are actually two spots in the score where within this quartet of singers, the soprano is the lowest voice. It's really quite something.
Things are looking good with our quartet of evangelists. Yeah, so we are a symphony orchestra, but we're not really performing a symphony per se. There's a choir as well, but it's not really a choral work. And we are staging it, but it's not really like fully staged the way you'd stage an opera. So there's not like entrances and exits. It's everybody's on stage, so it's still kind of a concert production. But it's also more than that because we're adding, set pieces and lighting elements and theatrical things like that with some blocking for the singers. But everybody's on stage the whole time, so we're sort of in between all these different genres of concert production all at the same time, which is kind of cool and a very unique thing. Certainly not anything we've tackled before as a symphony orchestra. So we're pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty breathtaking for people.
I love this hall for it can create very intimate feeling with the wood, with the dark wood. I think it just the setting is just right. It feels personal.
Any keyboard player, theoretically at least, can play the organ. The complication on pipe organ is that there's a whole set of foot pedals as well that they play. So whereas a pianist would read 2 lines, just treble and bass clef, organists are reading 3. So they have their 2 hands and often multiple keyboards too. So like one hand will be up here, the other's down here, and then they're also playing a bass line with their feet.
Practically the entire Rogue Valley Symphony office is involved in this production, and everyone plays a different role.
We just happen to have this amazing team that are multi-talented. Maybe most of all, Lisa.
A word of the day is flexibility.
We have Lisa Harrington doing stage managing.
I'm excited for Stumble Through, that's for sure. Everything before that is just prep.
And then Shelley is our new development associate who happens to be the most stunning mezzo, and she's in the quartet.
Shelley, our development director, fantastic singer, so that was a no-brainer to engage her.
The quartet had to be a really special group of singers, and they had to be almost instinctive about chant. So it would be better if they were church singers. Someone who's really used to chanting in service and has the Latin just really built into them. So I knew, first of all, that Shelley had to sing the alto. And if Shelley was going to sing the alto, it would make sense that Colleen would sing the soprano because they've sung together so much of their lives. They actually both started singing together in college, and they've been doing it together ever since. And then we were looking for a tenor that also had that same core sound, and we had to go out of town to find somebody. We made several offers locally, and no one could accept the offer. So we had already asked Brian to sing Pilot. We asked him if he had any voice students in the San Francisco Bay Area that might be right for the tenor, and he recommended Andrew. So perfect recommendation, and Andrew's stunning. And then we originally had a different bass, and he had to drop out due to illness. So we had Michael already understudying. He's our principal violist and also a stunning bass baritone. So he's our bass, and the four of them together are just really great.
They blend beautifully together because you want four voices they'll create one unified, homogeneous landscape there. And we have Mark Knippel taking care of the house, which is also slightly different from what he normally does.
Both of you could work with the soloists. That might make more sense. And then they just come.
Mark's operations manager. His job is to oversee everything that's going on with the production. He needs to be overseeing especially everything that's happening on stage. So he's responsible for more people than usual.
I would like to sing through with the evangelist choir one more time through.
Okay.
So I need 75 minutes with a cushion. So that could totally be in the afternoon.
So we could.
Or in the morning. I don't know. Yeah, whatever works.
Less musicians, but more other people. So he's got the costumer, the stage designer, the crew, the two stage managers, and then me constantly in his ear. Are we doing this? Are we doing this? Did you remember this? Oh my gosh, I forgot this. You know, all that stuff.
The prep started when we chose the season last year. So like looking for singers, be sure to book Jose and Brian really early because those guys book up. They're great opera singers. Like they're gonna get gigs.
Our two soloists, one represents Pilate and one represents Jesus, obviously.
You can prepare it on I think already on Accusazione we should have that feeling.
Oh, okay.
We started putting this thing together. Some things were very clear to me right from the get-go. I want Jose Rubio to be my Jesus. And I wanted Brian Thorsett to be my Pilate.
I think that it's almost without walking my jaw, like trying to create a tense, like, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
And so, that's Donizetti's version of the Passion.
Those were easy choices.
Martin wanted Brian. right off. He said, well, I want Brian Thorset again. We've had him several times. He's great. And Martin knew he would work quickly with him. That's another thing we have to know when we have a short rehearsal period.
Am I jumping? No, you were fine.
And then we have this bass baritone, Jose. He doesn't live here, but he's this very sought-after opera singer, has done a lot of incredible work, does a lot of oratorio work, which would be important to have in your back pocket for this. So he was Martin's choice for that role, and they both said yes, so that was easy.
Downstage right.
With them, I really want them to feel as natural as possible.
Yep, with your back to us, and slowly
The theatrical
turn.
blocking that they're doing, as opposed to what the chorus is doing and what the quartet is doing. I want their movement to feel, much more natural, that it makes sense to them and it makes sense to, the moment.
You have.
To me, there are these figures that are sort of bigger than life, like these historical figures, So there is a humanity to them, but at the same time, they're writing history in front of our eyes. And I don't want to shy away from that aspect of it.
You have a text and you have a musical texture. And you use those things to communicate what the composer wrote. Those are our tools.
We probably won't use the organ to its full capabilities sound-wise because there's a whole ensemble of people on stage. Fills this place up, and it's a big sound. So it'll be fun.
It's quite a beautiful piece to perform.
And we have a small ensemble of instruments, 4 instruments around me plus the organ, very important.
The quartet of instruments are always going to come from the symphony. Our concert master, Carla, then Kristen is second oboe in the symphony, so she's playing oboe. Then we have our bassoonist. He's our bassoonist currently, so he's playing bassoon. And then Michael is the cellist. He's not our principal cellist, but he often sits in for the principal. So those are the 4 musicians, and Jody French is just the natural person. She has been our principal pianist in the symphony as well, so all natural people to be doing it.
Everybody go around the room and say who they are and what they do for this thing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we have time.
So I can just do like this. This is.
Yeah, I feel like I want it to be like lontano,
So maybe this.
Rehearsal is beginning.
Yeah. So maybe this.
Yeah, that's really
I started singing in choirs relatively late. I only came to it in my late teens, probably 15. And wow, it was a great world, and it made me a way better musician. It improved my ears, because you have to, as a pianist, you hit the key and the note is there, but with the voice you have to find it, right? And so it was really good for me. And then also it gave me a chance to be part of an ensemble and to be part of big productions, which is also something as a budding conductor that I appreciated, because as a pianist I was by and large by myself for hours practicing alone. But then I started singing in choirs, and we would do all these concerts, and we would travel, and we would do works also with orchestras, and I got the bug. I was like, yeah, this is great. I want to create music with people. Like that's really what my direction should be.
Everyone has to kind of dive off the cliff together.
Because this is such a meditative piece, that we would start with a processional through the audience. And we are talking everybody.
Because we have very little time, relatively speaking, and I have to make sure that I'm communicating what I want clearly so that they can easily understand it, because they have to incorporate it just, instantly. The big thing for me is I don't want movement to tell the audience, oh, yeah, someone told him to do that. I want it to feel like it's coming from them and from the situation.
Richard is so wonderful. I know him only because of Joel, who he came highly recommended, and I said, yeah, sure, absolutely.
He understands movement, the body going from one place to another, and how fluid it needs to be, and what the motivation needs to come from, and he'll demonstrate it for someone, and they'll be able to put it into their body.
And the important thing for me is not to overstage anything, you know. It needs to feel organic, otherwise it shouldn't be there, you know. So you have to be ready and willing to edit anything, you know, if it doesn't really work.
Richard's a thinker. He has this gentle way of approaching things. We had many meetings. We would discuss aspects of this, elements of this production for months. And I love working with him because he's not making it in any way about him. He's offering his guidance and wisdom and his fantastic eye.
I will say that I have worked with some pretty intimidating conductors in the past, but Martin was so open to this idea from the beginning, and he's done everything he can to help, you know, bring the vision to the stage. So yeah, I couldn't be more pleased.
It's like a pirate shirt, and one was like a shirt with like gold flames on it. I was like, that's PASSIO Breaking Bad. And, looks like the two of the brothers. That's good. We have more for us. Okay, they'll be here.
Costumer Louise is also an old friend of mine. I did a fashion show for her where she created these 26 coats. And there were these 2 coats that I saw them and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I could be nuts, but those would be perfect for Pilate and Jesus. Because the one coat has barbed wire all over it, looks just like a crown of thorns. And the other coat looks like someone who really thinks he's a little higher than anybody else. So I asked her, do you think we could borrow those coats? And that's how it all started. And then we realized, oh shoot, we can't just borrow the coats. We have to balance out the coats with the rest of the cast. So we went and bought miles and miles and miles of muslin. And I think it looks good. I think it really came out. And then she made these great stools for the quartet that differentiated them, but go with the 2 coats. So the idea was just to make the fabrics be everywhere. And that's as simple as it is. We didn't want to go too far. Everyone's in basic black, and when we process in, the hope is that no one will know who's who.
The main limitation here is just space. Luckily, this particular piece fits really well on the stage, actually, because the stage is kind of built, A, for the organ, and B, for like chamber music is what sounds best in here. This Arvo Pärt piece is kind of the perfect size to fit in this space, because it's like a 15-piece chorus, a quartet of singers, 2 vocal soloists, and 5 instrumentalists. And so it's pretty much the perfect number of people to put on this stage. Everything about it's ideal, with the organ, the space, the acoustics in here, so we don't have to amplify anything.
For a theatrical production, it's challenging, but acoustically, you know, it's great.
I apologize. All of my notes are deleted.
I'm always usually see people have like a
All of my notes are gone. Just closer if you want to. They're pretty far from me. They can be much more intimate.
Now the quartet's not going to be crossing center.
I need to feel 90%.
So then there is.
I'm trying to read from a new score.
The whole thing.
I made a full score and put all my staging notes in the
I got it. 2 minutes, folks. 2 minutes.
The middle.
Middle of the person slows on the corner.
On the corner.
The way it's structured, so that ritual aspect of like sort of the time stands still for 60 minutes. And when you think about it in the beginning, it really feels daunting, but you have to learn to just give in and just to be part of the flow of things and be part of something bigger than yourself. And I'm really curious how the audience is going to react to it. You know, when we start, there'll be a lot of attention. We want to sustain that attention. But I'm also curious if maybe 10, 15 minutes in, if I'm going to start hearing a little shuffle. But then if that happens, I'm convinced it's going to go away. You just kind of have to accept the pace of things. And again, you have to just sort of give into it, and then you will reap the benefits of this music. So in our production, we'll be trickling on stage in a procession, and there'll be a very inobtrusive A note played in an organ. Will recede in the background, and slowly everyone gets in their positions. The audience should not be aware of what's going on, and then all of a sudden this wall of sound hits them, the chorus and the organ. Gospel of St. John, that's all it says. It's very matter-of-factly, and it opens with a harmony that doesn't have a root note in the bass. It's not. It starts very open. You know, the book is opening, and we end in this crunch. What was that? And you'll have to wait for the answer, because then the story just starts with something that sounds like a medieval chant, just one voice going through the words, and slowly instruments start joining. Oboe joins. And that's how but he hooks you with this huge gesture in the beginning and leaves so many questions, and you're thinking, when am I going to get that big sound again? Well, you'll wait until the very end, when he also just builds it slowly, you know, until we get the big amen at the end.
Arvo Pärt has a handful of famous orchestral pieces that get played, and they're mostly string orchestra pieces. And then certainly, like, there's plenty of choral rep that gets played on the regular, but this one, combining the two elements, you don't see it performed all that often. So, yeah, it's definitely a rare opportunity to put something like this together, which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
I'm feeling really excited. I'm so ready to do this.
We're going to find a happy medium here.
And I can't wait to have a full house to perform for. It's been really interesting to see the full production.
Place is played.
Do you know where Andrew is?
I wish the watch was going faster so we can start.
If everyone's just acting while we're guessing.
It's always my happy day, performance day. Arvo Pärt is an Estonian composer, a very interesting phenomenon in the 20th century music. He started his compositional career with very edgy music, and then he had sort of a crisis of compositional faith and stopped composing entirely for many, many years. And then he emerged a new man, sort of a mystic force, and that was like early 1980s. And his music caught on big time especially in Western Europe and then in the US, because it was this this brand new style of music that he developed that to me sounds like an updated medieval music. There's a lot of very old influences, you know, all the way to Gregorian chant and medieval and Renaissance music. But at the same time, it sounds modern, and the harmonies are, you know, you will not mistake it for medieval music. But there is a certain edge, but the edge is contained in this beautiful rounded sound, and so he came up with a completely unique way to express oneself in music. And since then, there are many, of course, copycats, but he was the original. It's you know, you can describe him in so many ways. It's postmodern, you know, he's sort of putting different influences, musical influences together, and he is looking backwards but also creating a completely new thing. I think he's among the most popular composers, contemporary composers in the world. I think for a while he was an undisputable number one. I think I read somewhere that recently John Williams replaced him. So that's also interesting, because not often the most popular composer is also one that people like me, professionals, would find deep and complex and bringing something new to the game. But Arvo Pärt is all those things. You know, he brought a brand new element to musical life, and it was embraced by masses as well as by us professionals.
He's still is sort of cloistered off from the world now. I don't know how much writing he does anymore. Oops. The PASSIO program. We decided on a unique piece instead of our standard booklet for this. PASSIO.
Yes. But for now, it's just it's a mental minute. All right? 2, 3.
Arvo Pärt is known for composing this really minimalist music, and to singers, it's a real challenge to sing it. It's hard. It's really, really hard. He tends to use a group of notes, and then he reconfigures them all different ways. He throws them upside down. He puts them too close together. He adjusts the voicings so that the higher voices are singing the lower part, lower voices are singing the higher part, and you can't use all of your usual tricks to figure out how to sing it. That's who he is. I've sung some of his other pieces, and they're equally difficult. And people don't usually choose to do his work unless they know they're fully capable of pulling it off.
It's a D in et secundum in altos. That was
That's
just
all I
a
know
little.
about him. I'm not as smart as Mark Knipple. He knows the most.
You really are moving.
But what's been great is the chorus, you know, everybody's working really hard to try to make it work in their bodies. And that's really all anyone can ask.
And then I tried to back out about a month ago and said, you know, you guys, I probably shouldn't do it. I can find somebody to sing this. I should be helping you. And Mark and Lisa were like, no, you need to do this. And I'm exhausted. And absolutely, my body hurts. I'm just wiped out. It's such hard work.
Basically, the end of it is 2 company vows.
It's interesting, this piece, because the evangelist, sung by the quartet, they're really the major character.
Dear Quartet, 32.
Because it is the St. John Passion, so they're John, and they're telling John's story. Father Tony was telling me that this gospel isn't read or spoken very often because there's a lot of disagreement about this one. But interesting that Arvo Pärt would choose this one and use music that all clashes to express it.
Pärt chose this text. I mean, all of the passions have been set to great music. I mean, again, the classic being the Matthäus Passion of Johann Sebastian Bach. All of them have been set. And the reason for that is that the Passion story is the earliest part of the gospel tradition that was set into a narrative form. And we know that because the four gospels agree about it in an uncanny way, in a way that isn't seen anywhere else in those stories, in the gospel stories.
You know, I think that these two worlds, the religious element and the human element, are, you know, sort of go hand in hand.
Colleen, would you please do 2 before 41 or stiarie?
Because it's in Latin, that makes it particularly challenging in terms of having it make sense to the audience.
All right, that's also cello and brass.
I mean, everyone knows the story, and you know they will be projecting some titles in terms of sort of setting up situations, but the audience is not going to be able to distinguish a number of things that are happening or being said or being communicated. So the feel of it has got to do it.
You are on today.
So it sold out weeks ahead of time, and we didn't really expect that. We have not even advertised it.
All that's left to do is to deliver that magical performance to everyone.
It's not often in an orchestral position to get to play in an intimate setting like this, and especially not to be playing with majority of vocalists and being a minority as an instrumentalist.
You popped one of those A's, those high A's, like perfectly in tune. It was like, oh wow, it was like a very arresting moment.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
when you nail those, it's like, whoa.
I sure hope they come out okay today.
That's nasty art.
Woo, it sure is.
God, that's like from like C below C4 all the way up to A5. That's,
and then you have that one
traversing
A
quite a bit.
to the E.
Yeah, it's an octave and a half.
So I've sung a lot of Arvo Pärt in church that uses the same compositional technique where each part is basically arpeggiating a chord, but homophonically, which is what the quartet is doing.
This one in particular, I find it to be very emotionally charged.
In the quartet, the alto and bass have just standard moving lines, whereas the soprano and tenor have all nothing but jumps, and it's crazy how it all fits together.
This kind of music does not sing off the page. It's not easy to phrase this, but there's just something about it that when you sing together, it's effortless in a way.
You know, first time playing Pärt, it's a fun, easy listen, but playing it, you have to be fully concentrated all the time, counting. Even looking away from the part to soak my reed, I'm like, okay, I gotta know what the next 5 measures are, so I don't lose track of what I'm doing.
And it's just like you can feel that there's such intentional placement for everything.
There's seemingly a meter change every second.
It's great. I love the writing. It's just so unique. I can't really think of any other composers where you experience that kind of thing.
That is definitely Arvo Pärt for sure. Just like so Pärt.
But once you get here, you're part of this mystery, and you're ours for the next 70 or 75 minutes, and only then we will release you back to our ordinary world, which hopefully will look a little more kinder and a little more colorful and a little more gentler after this.
I hope they leap to their feet and roar and make us cry. But we won't know until we know. Fingers crossed.
It takes so many people to put on a production like this, backstage, on stage, in the booth, everybody, and everybody has to bring their A game, to make it work.
When Jesus had taken the wine, he said, "It is finished." And bowing his head.
Once the audience is settled, and hopefully they already have a sense that this is going to be a different sort of concert experience for them, the piece starts with a processional, which we are adding to the beginning of the written piece, and that helps to establish the meditative tone of the piece. It's movement, it's also the audience gets a little bit of an initial intro. They get to see everyone, and I'm trying to bring everyone in as an ensemble. So they're all coming in together, they're all, on the same level, and then they move to their various places and get themselves dressed and help each other dress, and that's a little ritual as well. And then, when everyone is ready, then Martin starts the piece.
After the initial salvo, the big opening with the chorus, which just goes into the story, and then you are immersed in the same musical material for next 16 minutes with the subtlest of changes, and it sort of brings you to this meditative state of mind.
And the hall really resonates. With a piece like this, it's a lot of momentum when the evangelists are singing, because we're telling a story. We're not really supposed to be expressive necessarily with what we're singing, because we want the story to be clear, and the evangelist normally would be a cantor, just singing a cappella, or maybe with an organ accompaniment in other passion settings. So it's this is different when you have that kind of space and you have that a cappella space, that all of a sudden another part will drop out and it totally changes the feeling.
There's something about his vocal work that it's I don't know, it's more profound, more touching, piercing, shall I say? Yeah.
All of the attention in this piece goes strictly to the text, and the music is strictly being used to serve that text.
The meditation is left to the audience with the sound world that Pärt creates, because of how slow the harmonies move and the interplay between the characters and all the pauses between what things are said. So there's a little bit more room for you to let things come in, react before you're presented with some new material or a new scene, or maybe even a harmonic shift.
Arvo Pärt's PASSIO is the Latin text of the Gospel of John. It's probably one of the most central texts in Christian faith. I mean, the passions, the stories of the sufferings of Christ are the earliest part of the gospel tradition that were actually put into narrative form.
You're invited to sort of simmer in this tonal world where this story is being told. And you sit there for an hour, and all of this drama happens within that same world. It becomes an incredible challenge, and I think also for Maestro, to say, how do we say the exact same thing musically when we're saying entirely different things dramatically?
This piece presents, it's kind of a conundrum how to conduct it, because it should have a flow, but it's in detail, it's a never-ending chain of changing meters. So I have to be always on a lookout. I feel like maybe if you ski, when you're just doing these gentle, you're giving these gentle inputs, and you just move the mass in the right direction. I'm not grabbing everyone by their throat, and it's all very very organic. It's a lot of work for the conductor, but in a way, I want to be invisible. I want to just sort of dissipate and let them bring the magic.
Crucifixion, the way Jesus died, was not a Jewish punishment. It was the punishment of Rome for political insurrectionists, rebels. And that's how Jesus, the historical Jesus, was killed. He was killed by Rome as a rebel. That fact, which is hard and fast, should tell you a lot of stuff about the historical Jesus, despite whatever retellings might occur later in the Christian tradition. Whatever he preached, it was clear that Romans saw it as a political threat.
It's a story of this colossal misunderstanding on one hand. It's a very human story of an individual who gets kind of caught in the middle of these events, and it's also a story of Pilate as in sort of an unwilling executioner. He did not, at least according to St. John, he was dragged into it, right?
He's going to be whipped, he's going to be slapped, he's going to be crucified, he's going to be denied. Pilate's going to struggle with, am I doing the right thing? How can I convince these people he's done nothing? And you're just in that.
It's a story of the power of crowds that can turn so terrible and terrifying. So I think there is a very human aspect to the character of Jesus as well, and to all these participants. So I'm just fascinated by the story, and this particular gospel of the four, to me, is the most dramatic one. I think that's why it's also been portrayed in music so much. It gives you a lot of good material, a lot of good drama to work with.
Pärt's PASSIO is gorgeous. I mean, it's just phenomenal. But it expresses this idea that somehow the sufferings of Jesus are our sufferings, and that there's hope in that, despite all of the horrible stuff that we have to go through, and despite loss and disappointment and abandonment, and despite horror, there's hope. And that's why pieces like this are so important. And it's why the great composers come back to them again and again.
Unfortunately, we don't change. There are certain things that we seem to have a really hard time learning, and by experiencing this parables, thinking about all these things past, maybe we avoid some of the mistakes that we've been repeating throughout the human history. One can only hope, but that's basically the role of the arts, is to remind you of our common humanity, and also hopefully sort of steer you towards better outcomes in the future in our small and humble and harmonious ways. So this is where Jesus says it's finito, it's done, and then you have the evangelist just giving us the last line, and his spirit left his body and soul. and instead you get a long silence before the very final.